Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Tuesdays with Ro. We welcome again Brad Glassman from Brad Glassman Financial. Last week, he gave us some great information. It was very informational on the information that on the items that he touched on, the debt ceiling, the being able to be prepared, and how to financially, looking at our at budgets and being able to understand uh, the differences in debt, and as far as national debt, which also transgresses and goes to consumer debt. But we bring Brad for the second edition today. So he's a dynamic individual. He's traversed a multifaceted career path by innovation, expertise, and a commitment to empowering others. He began his academic journey as a college professor in his mid-20s and demonstrating his early dedication to education and intellectual growth, which he brings to us today again. Now, after laying a solid academic foundation, he transitioned seamlessly into the fast-paced engineering world within the entertainment industry. For over 3 decades, his contributions left a in double work with a remarkable 8.5 years spent shaping the magical experience synonymous with Disney. Brad's tenure in entertaining engineering honed his problem-solving skills and fostered a deep understanding of creating immersive experiences. And driven by his passion for aiding others in securing their financial well-being, he has redirected his expertise to the financial industry. He's drawn upon his diverse background. He embarked on a crusade to democratize financial literacy, helping individuals navigate the complexities of wealth management, tax mitigation, and updated investment strategies. With a keen eye for innovation and a heart for service, he, he endeavors to empower as many people as possible to chart their path to financial security, embodying a commitment to lifelong learning and societal betterment. Now, Brad is, as you know, he's really focused on helping others, and we appreciate his time and his valuable input. So, Brad, how's everything going today?
Everything is awesome and wonderful. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate your platform where we could reach even more people and bring more valuable knowledge and service. Thank you, Ro.
No, thank you. We're all ears. We want to listen this time. What are we going to talk about?
Well, you know what? Last week was purely information. I feel it's important that people know the reality of what's going on today and what to expect to some degree tomorrow. Um, in addition to just doing a short recap, I want to make it educational as well. So if I may share my screen,
Yes, sir.
thank you. And let's start with, like I said, a quick recap. You know, finances, it's not a sexy topic, but it's an important one. Those who are not prepared will suffer the consequences. So we need to make sure at least you have the knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power. So last week we went over a bunch of financial statistics. I'm not going to cover all of those again. I already covered them once. So the topics were for last week, paycheck to paycheck. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That is sad. More than 3 out of 4 Americans live paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much you're making, whether it's 1,000 or 10,000 a month. And I'm not sure why my hand is raised, but you know what? Recognize hand gestures. Okay. All right. My hand's raised. I don't know why, but you know what? That's okay. So Zoom will do what Zoom will do. Um, as far as the struggles, most Americans, or at least a very good percentage of Americans, are still having major struggles. I mean, 40% of Americans say they're behind in the monthly bills. That's ridiculous. And 73% of Americans still haven't bounced back financially from the COVID-19 pandemic. This is insane. But you know what? We can only do so much. Our financial system, it's broken. And when you're dependent upon the government, when you're dependent upon others, then you don't get to make all of the changes you want. You may have every desire to improve your situation. Sometimes we are held back, we are held down. You know what? Let's break those shackles and let's be responsible for our own financial futures. Also, financial knowledge, planning, and stress. Most people don't plan for their financial future. This causes a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress. So, you know what? Stress, bad for your health. It can cause so many other issues and manifest in so many different ways. Uh, the next topic we covered was retirement. I will recap on this a wee bit because for people retiring at 65, you have a 38% chance of living another 20 years. And expenses over those years are in excess of $52,000 a year. Let's round it to 50,000 a year. 50,000 times 20 years, that's not living rich, but it's still $1 million. It takes a lot of money to be retired 20 plus years. And additionally, the big numbers. This one I really like. I mean, how much printed currency? American printed currency is in circulation less than 2.5 trillion. Well, with less than $2.5 trillion in circulation last year alone, on top of all other debt, Americans racked up another 17.25 trillion in debt in last year alone, 2023. How could we, if we only have 2.5 trillion, how can we rack up for 17 trillion? And our national debt, we're up over $34 trillion in debt. That's twice what we racked up in 1 year. If we were a business, the government, the United States government, would be bankrupt, would be out of business. How do you rack up $34 trillion in debt? Plus, how is all debt paid? How is our government supported and paid? It's by our taxes. So you know what? Let me zip right in to the next thing I wanted to cover, which is the educational part. Speaking of taxes, in your opinion, let's say you're 20, 30, 40 years old. First off, when realistically do you think you'll be able to retire? Probably. At what age do you think you'd be able to retire?
At 65.
At 65, hopefully.
Well,
Most
true.
people, yeah, it takes a lot of money in the bank or a lot of passive income coming in. So you have to be able to support yourself during that retirement without giving up things you enjoy. Gee, we all like to travel to some degree. Maybe we want to go out for a nice dinner at least once a month, once a week, however often. But ask yourself this: in 10, 20, or even 30 years, will our government take a lower percentage of income tax? Will the income tax rates be the same as they are today? Or will they be higher? Now, a lot of people initially say, oh, lower. I'll be making less money, so I'll be paying lower income tax. That's not the question here. The question here is, will they take a higher percentage of your money in the future? Remember, government is getting deeper and deeper in debt. It is supported by our tax. So any professional documentation that you read will say higher. And think about this. Our government, city, state, federal, they're run off of our taxes. So how do they support themselves? They charge either higher taxes, or at the federal level, hey, let's print more money. What happens to the money in your pocket? What happens to the money in your stocks, your investments, your bank accounts? When they print more money, that value of your money that you have decreases. Not cool. So I follow a very simple system. Let's do one lesson at a time. So from this, future income tax rates, percentages will likely be higher. So what is the lesson learned? Let's pay our taxes sooner. Odds are we will pay at a lower percentage rate of income tax. Makes sense, right? Pretty simple, straightforward. Let's also look at some very common US tax strategies. We all know the largest purchase you'll ever make in your life is a home, the largest single purchase, right? The largest outlay of money. But do you know what the largest category of expense in your lifetime will be? It will be taxes. Over 50% of your income will be paid out in taxes. A lot of people say a lot of stuff is double taxation. We have an income, we have income tax. We're taxed. The money in our bank is already taxed. And now we go buy products, go buy services, and we're being taxed yet again. A lot of people scream and cry, double taxation. So let's talk about taxes for a while and three different buckets. First off, let's talk about the tax always bucket. But for you to understand this, let me explain what these triangles mean. Triangle, the little segment on the left-hand side, that's when you're putting money into a product or into a service or into an investment, such as I love my house. I'm buying my house, real estate, with taxed dollars. I'm paying taxes every year, property tax. And when and if I sell it, since my house is up over 63% in only 5 years, I will have to pay additional taxes. So this is me buying the house. This is the value of the house growing. And this is when and if I sell the house, right? And we'll get rid of that. Capital gains tax. If you hold on to a stock or a product long enough, then you can pay a lower percentage of taxes. That is a great thing when it applies. I'm in the state of California. It's very expensive here. Capital gains tax in this state and many others is calculated at your income tax level. We may get a break at the federal level, but maybe not at the state level. So be aware of it. Know your numbers, as we say. So this is what we affectionately call tax always. There's tax later, all better known as tax deferred. So with tax deferred, that's an easy concept. A lot of people, in fact, most people are comfortable and understanding of it. You don't pay taxes up front. You don't pay taxes as it's growing. However, you do pay income tax when you start taking withdrawals, typically decades later. So what products come to mind? Well, the first product that comes to mind is the most popular, 401k. The largest investment product that people put money into is the 401k because there's so many companies that offer it. I had a very, very healthy 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, so forth and so on. No one gave me guidance. I'm here to make a difference in your life. So 401k, how does that work? It's not taxed at all until it grows. May it grow humongous. May it grow 100 times more than what you put into it. But now, when it grows 100 times more, it's a big oak tree. Rather than just the seed, it's a big oak tree that you're now paying taxes on. And possibly decades later. These other products fall under tax later as well, or tax. Did you know about yet a third bucket? Tax advantage, also known as tax never. Well, in tax never, you've already paid taxes on the money that's in your bank. You've paid income tax. What if you never had to pay another penny of taxes on that money again, and you put it into appropriate products? Let's say you put it into a Roth IRA. You know what? You've already paid taxes. Don't pay taxes while it's growing. Don't pay taxes on the big oak tree that it grows to or the money that you take out. 529 plan, I believe everyone should fill out a financial aid form when they're sending their kids to college. We need more, stronger, healthier education in this country, in every country, in fact. But When you do a 529 plan, which is a government plan that allows you to earmark money for your child or grandchild's future education, you have to list that. What if you have 1,000, 10,000, or $1 million in the 529 plan? Guess what? It will work against you on that financial aid form. If you qualify for a grant or scholarship, take it. If you qualify, it's yours. 7702A, 401k, all of these terms, they're designed by our federal government. They're designed by the IRS. Oh, another name for 7702A is cash value life insurance. So let me ask you, where do the majority of Americans have most of their assets? In tax always and some in tax later, not nearly enough in tax advantage. Well, where would you like to have the majority of your assets? I'm hoping you're saying and thinking tax advantage. Did you know that Walt Disney, it would not be here, Disneyland and all the parks would not be here if it was not for example, cash value life insurance. In fact, little known fact, J.C. Penney's, Foster Farms, and so many other companies would not be here if it was not for that. And so much money is made by the wealthy by using the tax advantage solution, but they're not limited to the wealthy. Some of these solutions you could get into for as little as $3 a day, whatever is appropriate for your situation. So it's worth knowing more information about. So we want to have you have the knowledge to grow as much money tax free. However, the IRS does limit how much money they allow you to grow as an individual or family tax free, because of course our government is run on our taxes. So what's the lesson learned on this? You know what? Let's pay our taxes on the smaller investment amount, the little seed money. Let's not pay it on the larger return, that big oak tree. That sounds good to me. I hope it sounds good to the rest of you as well. I know this is going to come as a shock to you, but there are what I call the evil twins. There's inflation and taxes. When you have a fixed product, say you have a 5% CD, guaranteed 5%, do not think of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise does not win this race. If you're only accumulating 5% interest annually, you have taxation on that. And you're not keeping up with inflation. We need to do better as individuals, as a community. We need to do better. That's why we need to share this knowledge. Variable. We all know people say buy low and sell high. Well, does your crystal ball have batteries in it? Do you know when it's going to be at the lowest, whether it's a stock or what have you? You know when it'll be at the highest, when you should sell it? Of course not. I call this rolling the dice. You're taking your best guess. What if you had a product, say January 1st of this year, you open that product, you ignore it the rest of the year. January 1st of next year, you look at it and you say, did it grow or did it shrink? Did it gain value? Did it lose value? If it lost value, you lost nothing. Wouldn't that be nice? And if it gained value, you got at least some, if not all of that value. Would be nice, giving up all risk and getting at least some, if not all of the reward. Well, there is something called the indexed account. It's so hard to believe the IRS came up with this. And when I say index, I don't mean like the S&P 500, which is an index or a collection of different stocks. 500, that index, it spreads risk over multiple stocks. So you have a little less risk because it's the top 500 stocks performing. Indexed account, it's foreign to most people. That's why I'm so thrilled to be here with Ro to introduce this concept. So let me explain it a little deeper. In understanding index, let's say, for example, September 15th, 2011. Let's say you put in $1,000 into the market or into a stock, doesn't matter what it is. And every quarter, really every moment, it changes, goes up and down every moment, every hour, every day. Let's say that after 4 quarters, 1 year later, now it's September 15th, 2012, it went down a total of 30%. Well, that sucks. Well, let's say for the next year, and no, don't worry, I'm not going through 20 years of this, but let's say for the next year over year, it went down 21.5%. Following year, it went up, it bounced back. Yay, 5.45%. And I went a little drastic on this one. Let's say the following year, it did an incredible 22.4%. I know numbers could be boring to a lot of people, but here's the end result. After 4 years, starting with $1,000, you lost 29% and you're left with $710. Here's exactly how an indexed account works. And it has 3 caveats. Number one, point-to-point reset. It only looks at anniversary date to anniversary date. It ignores all of the fluctuations in between. Downside protection. If the market went down, you have a floor. The lowest floor there is 0%. So, the market goes down, you lose nothing. You also made nothing, but you lost nothing. So it resets. That's the point-to-point reset. So it locks it in for a marker for the following year. You have this downside protection, you have the upside potential. Where there's a floor, there's a ceiling. And I'm being totally conservative in this example. The floor is 0%. I put the ceiling at only 6%, minimize growth to show you, to make a point. So let's say, for example, in the first year, the market that you were tracking went down 30%. Well, gee, downside protection. You lost and made nothing. But isn't that nice? You lost nothing instead of losing 30%. The next year, again, it went down 21.5%. You made nothing. Well, so far, it sucked. You haven't made any money in 2 years, and not a great return on investment, is it? However, instead of being down the $450 from 1,000 to 550, you're down nothing. You've lost nothing. Now, in the third year, you notice it goes up 5.45%. How much do you get? Well, with a ceiling of 6%, you get the full 5.45%. And of course, for the fourth year, when it goes up 22.4%, you get that ceiling of 6%. Now, let me ask you, Ro. Ro, for that year that it went up 22.4% and you only got 6%, do you hate me and the advice and the information I'm sharing?
Not really. I mean, because you protected me before.
Excellent answer. You're right, because you're protected from loss. In fact, a look back was done to this first day of the New York stock market. And if you had an indexed account, you pick any day in history, fast forward 20 years, 100% of the time, an indexed account, even a conservative indexed account, such as this cap of 6%, outperformed the market. So yes, your money is protected. So let's look at the contrasting difference. Instead of being in the market and losing 29%, you would have made only 11.8%. Not bad. And you're up $118 instead of down $290. Wouldn't it be nice if all of this money was tax-free? If it's tax-free, then say the 6% ceiling, wouldn't that be equivalent to basically an 8 or 9% increase? Because you'd have to pay taxes on a 8 or 9%, and it would bring it down to 6%. So that's a pretty good return on investment. So that's one of the reasons why this concept is the latest and greatest. Let's stop thinking old-fashioned way. Let's roll with the times. Let's come up to speed. Stack the deck in your favor. So another educational thing, and I love this. And Ro, I'm going to need your participation here.
All right.
Well, the rule of 72. Most people who are not financial professionals have never heard of it. But let me make it really simple for you. Somebody very famous, who I'll tell you in a moment, came up with this concept. He was incredible with numbers. He's passed. So you take the number 72, divide it by the percentage of return of interest you're making. It'll give you a number, and it's that number of years that your money will double. For example, rule of 72, you're getting 6% fixed return. 72 divided by 6 is 12. So every 12 years, approximately, your money will double. So in 60 years, your money is doubled 5 times, and you make from 100 doubles to 2 to 4, 8, 16, and 32. So let me ask you, Ro, knowing that, if I just doubled the rate of return from 6% to 12%, what number do you think this comes up to, just off the top of your head?
Oh, double, well, I'll just go with 3,200 times two, so 6,400.
You know what? Thank you. That's what the majority of people say. But let me show you. It's actually in the same 60 years, it's $104,000 because now it's doubling every 6 years. So now it's doubled 10 times. In this other example, you'd only have to double one more time to get from 3,200 to 6,400. Now, who came up with these numbers?
I'm gonna take a guess. It was probably Pythagoras, because that looks like A plus B equals C squared, something like that. So it's gotta be him.
It does look like Pythagoras theorem. Yeah, I agree. But surprisingly, it's someone who's been around much closer to our time rather than the ancient times. So it's Albert Einstein. And I love this quote by Albert Einstein: compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. Understand it. He who doesn't pays it. Now imagine you lend somebody $100 and you're charging them this interest. It's growing. You want to understand it. It's compounded interest. You want Now imagine on the flip side of the coin, more often, you're being lent money. Remember that $17 trillion in debt everyone's in? Well, you're borrowing money against your credit card, against your house. You need to know how compound interest works. That simple. But I could go much more into detail in a one-on-one. So let's look at this. What is a lesson learned? Let's remove the risk with potentially increasing the return. Let's have the money in tax-free growth. Let's put the money in an indexed accumulation account. Let's make your money work harder for you. You work hard for it. Why not make it work hard for you? So in some of these products, I want to point out a caveat, a specific issue. There's two ways to take money out of some of these products. One way is a withdrawal. Let me explain. If you have $1,000 in a savings account, you're gaining interest. Maybe not a lot, but you're gaining interest. If you take out $500, that's a withdrawal. You now cut your earning power in half. Now you're only creating interest on $500. However, if instead you take a loan, then you're still gaining the full interest on the $1,000 in your savings account, and you've took, based on the credit that you've built up, you're taking a loan that you pay back, possibly at a very low interest rate. Wouldn't that be nice, seeing as interest rates are incredibly high now? So withdrawals, you know what? You could be taxed on the gains. In various products, no repayments are required. Loans, tax-free. Imagine taking a tax-free loan. Now, let me give you a comparison for just a moment. If you wanted to buy a fob or a boat or a jet or whatever, and you needed $100,000, okay, maybe not a jet, a nice car, and you wanted to buy it for $100,000, and you took that money out of your 401k, how much would you have to take out of your 401k? About 140, 150 plus thousand. Because remember, you have to pay the taxes when you take the money out. And if if you're younger than 59 and a half, you have to pay also a 10% fee, a penalty. If you have a tax-free product, you take the taxes out, you take the $100,000 out, there is no tax. With the 401k, you took out 150,000 approximately. It increases your income because it's taxable income. It raises your tax bracket, but from a tax-free product, you're taking out 100,000, reducing your account only by 100, not 150,000. You're not paying taxes. It's not bumping up your tax bracket. Isn't that beautiful? And in several of the products, depending upon what you go with, there's no waiting until you're age 59 and a half. For people in their 20s, 30s, you know what? Maybe buying a house, starting a family. Do you really want your money to be tied up until age 59 and a half? Maybe you run into an emergency. Preparing for the unexpected. What is that one thing that everything unknown has in common? How do we prepare? We don't know what the situation will be. So people might say we can't prepare. But the solution to all of these different unknowns and being prepared for the unexpected, it comes down to money out of pocket. So build your own bank. Start now, start young, start early. So let's look at this. Access your cash accumulated money. Anytime there's cash accumulated in it, don't wait till age 59 and a half. Also, fund your own future loans. With some of these products, if you take out a loan against your own product, you're paying yourself back that interest. Who would you rather pay interest to? A bank or yourself? I'd rather pay it back to me. Also, if you wait more than 10 years on some of these products, what you repay interest wise is zero. Wouldn't that be nice? I think so. So in closing, again, thank you for this platform, Ro. I am offering to Ro and everyone who's watching this a courtesy 30-minute financial checkup session. Let's meet one-on-one. Let's find out what your situation is. Let's find out where you want to be. And let's see if I can help to get you there. All right. Ro will provide all of this information as well. And it was great being here and being able to share with you. Thank you again, Ro.
Well, thanks again, Brad. That's very interesting information right there. I mean, and it's good. You mentioned last week that we have to own our own development, our own financial well-being. And the only way to do it is to understand that GPS. Where are we right now? Where do we want to be? And really plan it out. Plan out the time frame. Plan where do you want to be? What's the distance? Sooner to a map. When you're going, when you're going to go to a place that you don't know about, you want to know what's the best route, what's the time frame that's going to get you, and what is the final destination. That's the whole thing. You've got to have that final destination in mind and know exactly where you want to plan and where you want to be. So again, we appreciate your time, Brad, and looking forward to it. But for our guests, thank you very much for being here. And we will be posting this on our Facebook and YouTube channel. So I'll send those links out as well. And you'll be able to see part 1 and part 2 of Brad next week. We are going to have Loyola University here talking about higher education and how it can provide benefits for your employees. So we're looking forward to connecting with human resource people that can bring more opportunities for the employees in their companies. And, it's education, education, education all the way around, financial well-being, and also getting with a great career path. So again, thanks a lot and appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ro. Appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate your platform, and anything I could do for you or your followers, please let me know. I'm here for you.
Very good. Thank you.